Here's a comparison of the turbo to me. This weighs 5.4 pounds, so it's an excellent dumbbell. Here's a GT55R in comparison to the 35R, the 37R, and the GT4088R. And this is the compressor wheel that this turbo had. This one measures, it's hard to measure it because it's worn, but it measures around 90 millimeter at the smallest point, which means it's probably even bigger than that. And at the largest point, I got around 118 or something like that. And then this shaft, I don't know, I didn't measure it. It's big though. You could tell in comparison, this is a 4088R turbine, and this turbine, the 4088 turbine is like 68 millimeter by 70 something. I can't remember. This one is 64.5 by 74. That's a 37R turbine. GT35R turbine is 62.35 by 68. You can see how massive the shaft is in diameter in comparison. And look how big the piston ring seals are. This would be a normal piston ring seal. There's two of them. So this is a GT35R and a GT37R, GT40, GT42R, and a GT55R. You can see how big this cage is. It's crazy. This turbo, the GT55R, is rated at 1100 to 1800 horsepower. This one did have a failure though. The shaft, or the shaft in comparison to the cage. GT35R shaft on cage compared to 55R cage. Here's the ball bearing cage in comparison to a BMW cartridge. Here's a Subaru TD04L turbo or assembly in comparison to the GT55R turbine. Here's the GT55R turbine going inside of a Subaru turbine housing. Here's a comparison of the HX40 64 millimeter turbine versus the GT55 turbine. HX40 67 millimeter compressor wheel versus the GT55R compressor wheel. This compressor wheel is good for up to 950 horsepower. This one's good for up to 1800 horsepower. Here's a look at the GT55R failure. I'm not really sure what happened here. The seals appear to be in really good shape, but the cage had problems. I would guess that a piece of debris got inside the turbo and locked up the bearing cage. That's the only thing that really seems to be logical in this case, because there's no excess heat on the bearing cage itself. So the only thing I can think of is a foreign piece of debris that locked it up.